So I want to talk about, I want to go from somebody who was doing a very good job to somebody who was not doing a very good job. And I'm afraid it's Daniel Ricciardo.
Oh no, back on the Ricciardo train.
Seems to be struggling again. It's not really a track that favours the McLaren overall.
No.
But it's still a very disappointing performance. I didn't really understand the need to pit early.
No.
An example of a strategy call that I think I can say more confidently was a bad one. It appeared to be mainly based on Daniel saying that he thought he could go much faster on new inters when he was asked.
So that came over the radio, didn't it?
They just asked him, do you think you can go faster? And he was like, oh yeah, I can go much faster. But not only was he then slower and then about the same in pace, but he was lapped by his teammate. Nobody else boxed for 9 laps. And most people didn't box for about 14 or 15 laps afterwards.
Which
so
really...
I don't understand why they boxed.
Up to one point, I think Ricciardo was in P10 or P11 at one point, because the pace did come back eventually. Like I mentioned earlier, you've got that initial 2 or 3 laps of good traction, you've got the graining phase, and then the pace comes back. But towards the end of the race, all these other cars were on, worn tyres, which turned out to be okay. But Ricciardo, like you said, had been on these tyres for 15, 16 laps longer than the majority of the field, and that pace really, really hit him because he dropped all the way back down to P13.
Yeah, he was overtaken by both Alfa Romeos on the last lap.
That's pretty bad.
So yeah, he finished out of the points there. Obviously didn't qualify well at all. But he knew that he was going to take his penalty as well, so he was going to start from the back of the grid. But whilst you had Sainz blazing through the field, who was having an absolute stunner, Daniel Ricciardo was like stuck in P16 for ages. So don't quite understand what didn't connect for him there. Maybe he just didn't like the conditions. Again, I know that the track doesn't really favour the car, but Norris managed to bring it home, P7. So again, a really big gulf between those two. And this is with a new engine that he's got in the back as well. So disappointing. More disappointment for Daniel Ricciardo. It's never good to be lapped by your teammate, whatever the situation. So still question marks there. It's there's all this, I'm back and I never went away and it was great, and the magic of Monza lives on, but you've got to be able to do it for a whole season, mate.
Yeah.
One McLaren 1-2 is great fun, but it's not going to make for a championship battle.
No, I don't have anything else to add. It wasn't a great weekend for Ricciardo. Wasn't a great weekend for McLaren in comparison to Ferrari. We had Sainz coming through the field with absolutely perfect moves time and time again into the final sector. Did have that little wobble with Vettel. Agree, but... Yeah, I was going to say, we did have that little wobble with Vettel, but on the whole, Sainz had a fantastic race and he started from the back of the grid, and Ricciardo just there was no pace at all. Even when he put on a fresh set of tyres, he was only matching the leaders who had been on the same set, had been on worn tyres for 20 odd laps. So really strange set of circumstances. Hopefully COTA next week or 2 weeks' time will be more forgiving for the McLaren team, because it certainly wasn't to be in Turkey, that's for sure.
Yeah, you said I might talk later about our ongoing Ferrari versus McLaren battle, but there wasn't a Ferrari versus McLaren battle.
They were nowhere each other, were they?
Ferrari were much better this week, so there was no battle to be had, unfortunately.